Welcome to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright. This show is all about honoring you as a spiritual being having a human experience. You are here for a reason, and it's no mistake that you are here on Earth right now. Spirit has guided you to this very moment in time, so you could hear the messages Pam is about to share with you. She is a multidimensional healer, light language channel, transformation coach, wife, and mother, committed to helping you discover the tools and practices to empower you to live the best life you can. You get to choose the spirit path you take. You can connect to the spiritual guidance already all around you. Get ready to live a fully empowered life. This is the Empower Me Show.
Welcome back to the Empower Me Show. My name's Pam Bright. I am your hostess for this show. Happens every week at this time. For the next hour, we are going to be blessed with my dear new friend, Clare Bennett, who is in Scotland. Is that correct? Way over yonder.
Yes.
From at least way over yonder from the Pacific Northwest. So any of you who are tuning in from Scotland, thank you so much for being here. Blessings to you. And please let people know that we go live every week at this time for this show. And hopefully I can have Clare back as much as possible at future episodes. Today we are talking about tarot and the divine feminine and all things cosmic, as you can see by my symbol behind me, which is the Metatron's Cube, I believe that's called. Just got that newly, and we've got some divine divas over in Claire's corner of the world with the Cupid and the who's behind you? Who is that?
This is the birth of Venus, the birth of Venus. So this is the opening of the heart to love.
Beautiful. Yes. So we are going to talk about what does it mean really to be in the divine love of the one universe that we all live in. And we're also connecting to the multiverse. So we're looking at our multidimensionality as human beings on this planet now, which is really exciting because now we get to go into other dimensions, parallel universes, really expanding who we are as human beings, having spiritual experiences and cosmic multiple lifetime experiences here on the planet. So we're going to get started here in a minute. As we do, I'm going to invite you in to your heart space because your heart is connected to your breath and your breath is connected to your soul. And that is the heartbeat of who you are as a human, right? We have a human heart. We also have a spiritual heart. So when we connect the two together, then we're really, really having an amazing multidimensional full body experience of what it means to be a divine human. So we're going to do that here shortly. And first, I want you to connect to your breathing. Really allow yourself to breathe consciously. As we do this all the time, we breathe because that's what keeps us alive. And when we breathe consciously, we talk to all of our different systems within our bodies, as well as the systems outside of our bodies in what we call our auric field. And we get to connect to the systems all around us, on the earth, inside of the earth, in the cosmic universe, with the stars and the moon and the sun, the planets. We get to connect even with the empty space, well, what we call empty space, but it's not really empty. It's just undefined, right? It is the vortex of the unknown. So we look forward to going into that space of the unknown today, that part of us that might have an idea about what we're going to talk about today, but might actually be curious about what's to come. And so as we breathe in, we remember that our breath connects us instantly to the divine. And so using that breath, imagine that your consciousness can send you all the way out to all of the massive support that's around you, as well as down your body through your feet and connecting into what we call Gaia, or the Earth Mother, our beautiful earth that we live upon. And using these beautiful tones of light that I have been gifted with, I gift them to you now to inform your body system of what it needs today. And I invite you to bring in your guides, teachers, and angels into this moment, all of the beings that support you 100%, and ask them to surround you, even though you may not know who they are. There's no judgment here. It's simply a matter of awakening the consciousness to all of the support that you have in every moment. Anasate daye iaba eu. Nanasade hiarabehi. Kara etu dabaya tutue. Nana yasate, nana yasanayana ye. Nana se na yakate kikana ye. Ula chanda sanana sanana sana yetu ana. Une salate ate ataye keri. Anamanaki na maikera baante yesu. La chana maya seta manaiki. Ana sanaite. Nana sanaite. Una nananaki asanakia tataite. Tanta isena neke ana ke kuna. Kana esa nana ye. Tana, tana, tana. Tana ye sana ike. Nanakia. Nanaki a. No ke sanaki. Nana se. And just take another couple deep breaths and invite those codes of light to enter into your body and into your mind and into your heart, your emotions, into your very life itself. And give your soul what it has been asking for. These codes of light are wise. They know exactly what to do. So just invite them to do what they need to do for you, for your well-being, and for your transformation today. And then when you're ready, you can come back into this moment and open your eyes. Welcome back. Welcome back to this moment. So Miss Clare, welcome to this show. I'm so glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And being a person that may or may not have ever heard this show and have heard what I just did with the grounding and the light language transmission, on your end, how does that kind of land in your body system so that the viewers and the people listening maybe for the first time can understand how they might interpret what just happened?
Well, first of all, it's absolutely wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you. You're a very gifted communicator, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. For me, that experience and that moment, I believe one of the great things about our relationship with the divine, about our relationship with the earth, about the relationship with each other is that we all experience things differently. For me, in that moment, I definitely felt a lot of connection with the sacral chakra right in my belly. There was tingling, there was movement, there was sensation there, and I could feel that rippling through my body. So that was a part of the body that was being activated and spoken to there. I also felt a lightness through the body, like a sort of lifting up, like a cleansing, a clearing, almost like the way that we would clean our windows in order that we can see more clearly. That's sort of what it felt for the rest of me. I'm keen to hear about other people, what other people interpret that or have experienced that. So feel free to share that too.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. And that's really great to hear. And those of you who are new to light language and this way of communicating, I invite you to find as many light language practitioners or channels as you can, because we all have a little bit different way that we transmit this energy to you. I am simply one of many people on the planet now who have this gift. And we all have been given different ways for it to be used. And so I invite you guys and gals and others to go to YouTube, go to Transformation Talk Radio. I don't know at this point if there are any other light language practitioners on Transformation Talk Radio. That would be interesting for me to find out. But really, bring yourself into the knowing that if you're curious and you want more of this kind of transmission, they're out there and they're available to you. And so I invite you into the space of opening to what's next for you. And this show is really all about that. How do we, as human beings, open to the fullness, the full expression of who we are as soul? We are here to be spiritual beings having human experiences. And so with that, I'm going to invite Clare to share a little bit about how you came into this world of knowing that you are a spiritual being having a human experience and what that means to you right now.
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. And I will answer that. I just want to share something with you, just in case it doesn't come up naturally in the conversation later on, because one thing that I'm very much interested in, it's very much been a journey of education and exploration for me, and continues to be so, is astrology and transformation talk radio. What's interesting about this is actually right now, the Sun, Mercury and Venus are all in Scorpio. And when we think about Scorpio, we do think about transformation. Transformation is the world of Scorpio. And nice. When we think about talk, what's the sign that springs to mind? Gemini, of course, and we have our Mars and Moon both in Gemini at the moment. So right now, the Moon and Mars are both in Gemini, talk, and we've got Venus, Sun, and Mercury in Scorpio. So transformation talk. This is the perfect time for me to be here. So I'm particularly excited about that. What's also notable about that is that's all the personal planets. That's all the personal planets linked in there. There are 5. Of course, the Sun and the Moon are luminaries, but they're all sort of lumped into that category of personal planets. So that's just a wee interesting note there. So the spiritual. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Yeah, this was certainly a new concept to me, and until I sort of was opened up to this. And really, this whole journey for me started when I was having a lot of health problems. Over 10 years ago. And really, this was the body sort of screaming out to me to pay attention, pay attention. Something's not right here. Something's not right here. And this was a huge opportunity for me to really look into that. And I started to change things like diet, like lifestyle, some of those practical things. But then the sort of more emotional, the intellectual, the spiritual aspects had to be changed as well. There was shifts, there was different tools and practices that I brought in that brought about this awareness. And now in Glasgow, I have a lovely venue, a lovely space that I love to welcome people into, called Temple Divine. And really the sort of focus of that is to bring people together, to bring about this awareness of the spiritual self. Very much we have these two powerful aspects of our life. We've got our physical life, we've got our spiritual life, and how are they supportive? You know, how do they work together in partnership? How are we experiencing all of these together? And actually, when we look at it, we realise that some of it, and I talk a lot about, you know, pain and things like that, just because pain is often a catalyst. You know, sometimes we get these nudges from the universe, small nudges, and we don't listen. So we have to, it's like, you know, we have to have a big event in order that we can start to listen and notice and pay attention. You were talking about that, you know, in another of these episodes, I believe, as well. You were talking about that. Challenging life experiences grab our attention. For example, we have had an incredible experience, an incredible opportunity with the global awakening through lockdown, through COVID, all these things. That has been a catalyst and has stopped people in their tracks. People are asking questions, moving in different directions. It's been a huge opportunity that we're really only seeing the tip of the iceberg here. So that pain in our life, or in fact our whole life, everything's sort of shaping us, giving us these lessons to learn in order that we can live our purpose. So it's like a training ground. You know, it's like a training ground. We have the pain, then we feel passionate about that, we feel strongly about it, and that becomes our sense of purpose in the world. The pain, you know, I really love helping people to find meaning in things. What's the meaning of this? What's the reason behind this? What am I learning from this? And how is it helping me? How is it helping me? And that can be a difficult thing to think about when we are in a lot of pain. But sometimes it's not until we look back that we think, oh, right, okay, so that was that wee shift there. I was moving from this direction to that direction. And then we can start to really look back and feel grateful for that, and feel grateful for those trying times.
Absolutely. Yes. So pain is a catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the invitation for those of you who are listening. Okay. Your pain, whatever it is, whether you're going through physical pain in your body, you're going through emotional pain because of a breakup or a death in the family, or you're going through a spiritual pain, a yearning for something more. Those are indicators to you that your body is wanting more. Your life is calling you to show up fully. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Many times the people that work with me are at a turning point. And that's what Claire's talking about now, is she came to a turning point of a lot of physical pain, a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of stuff in her life that wasn't working. It actually propelled her forward to get the answer she needed. Okay. And many times, our physical pain in our physical bodies are because we're not listening to the spiritual and emotional lessons that are wanting to show up. Okay. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that? How that happens, how that, you know, that little voice in our head or the little voice, the little guys on our shoulders saying, hello, pay attention to me, when we're not listening. What is it? How can we shift that to actually pay attention to what is wanting to get our attention?
Well, we can hear better when there's not a lot of external noise. So if we can take time to actively build a connection, to build a relationship with our intuition, with our guidance, our guides, whatever people would identify that, or whatever language people use. I'm very aware that not everyone has the same language around these things, okay? And I try and speak in a way that is inclusive, because I think sometimes people who are maybe new to this can be a little bit put off by some of the language. So whatever that is, whether that's your heart speaking to you, your soul, whatever you believe. But when we slow down, it's like if there's a massive room with lots and lots of people in it and everyone's talking, it can be hard to distinguish those voices. But when we slow down and listen, we can start to pay attention. So it had to be, in my life, it had to be something fairly significant to grab my attention. And I was diagnosed with arthritis in my early 30s, and it ran all through my body. I was in so much pain every single day. It had to be something dramatic like that, because I wasn't listening. I was caught up in whose fault it was and all these types of things, looking for people to blame. It's got to be someone else's fault why I feel the way that I feel. And it wasn't really until it was something significant that caused me to slow down and stop, and then I could start to hear more clearly, see more clearly, and most importantly, feel more clearly. Because when we haven't processed wounds or things like that, then we're looking through a lens of trauma, rather than being able to try and see things clearly. So we're not seeing things clearly, we're not feeling things clearly, and that's why it can be difficult that's why it can be difficult for people to trust themselves, because they're coming from a place where they're feeling triggered. And of course, all of us experience pain and trauma and things like that in life. That's all of us who do experience those things. So quietening down, stopping. What actually happened to me was I experienced adrenal fatigue, because I was experiencing so much stress that even it was almost like something just sort of broke inside, and therefore I couldn't be around anything that was too stimulating. So caffeine was completely out. Even listening to music, any kind of music, was out, because it was too stimulating and it would make me feel sick. Anything, stimulating food. So I had to, and I feel so grateful for that, because once all that cleared out, I was able to really hear inside, and my heart opened, and I processed so much pain through doing that. And this is, if I hadn't gone through this experience, I wouldn't be able to help other people through that. So this is how the pain becomes a passion, the passion becomes a purpose. So now I can help people, and I feel so much gratitude, and so much fulfillment to be able to do that. So for people listening at home, allow yourself to just be with you. Be with you, like any relationship. We need to pay attention, we need to appreciate and spend time with another person. And the same goes for that relationship with self. I didn't really have a good relationship with myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't even know what that was really. And when we slow down and we listen, whether that's a relationship with the body, or whether that's a relationship with our hearts, or a relationship with our minds, so it's there, and it what we do want that. We do want that. That's what a lot of us are. I think that's what a lot of us are seeking. We're seeking love, validation, acceptance, connection from other people, and sometimes that thing, oh, you've got to love yourself, sometimes it's thrown around a wee bit harshly. I think a wee bit harshly. We've not really been taught how to love ourselves. So this is a journey for all of us, loving ourselves, loving each other, loving the planet, loving spirit, gods. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And here's something I've found, and I continue to expand and open to this concept of, okay, so if I really don't have a clue what you're talking about with loving myself, right? Then let's remove judgment. Okay, start with your breathing. Start with allowing your breathing to go right into this beautiful heart of yours. Okay, those of you who are listening. And then allow yourself to just be with you, right? And if your heart and your body is screaming stop or screaming no, then ask yourself, what is the no about? Is it no, I can't love that. I can't breathe into that because it's too painful. Or no, because my body hurts too much to pay attention to it. Or is it no, I don't believe what you're saying and you're crazy, right? There are all those different ways that we communicate to ourselves whatever the message is in our heads, okay? So a lot of what has come forth for me and for my clients that I work with is, can I today stop judging myself? Can I today, even for 5 minutes, allow myself to not have judgment about who I am, what my body looks like, how my body feels, what I think about you and what you're doing? Can I stop judging the people in office around the globe, what the Chinese did, what the Japanese did, what the Germans did, what the Scottish did, what the anybody else did, right? And just be with today for this moment. I'm going to allow myself to just be. That's a brand new concept for a lot of people, especially in this world of go, 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 do the next indicated thing, which is right in front of me, which is, you know, I got to go to my job. I got to take care of the kids. I got to feed the dog, you know. Stop, just stop and breathe and pause and allow, right? Is this coming through? Is this coming across, guys? If it is, then let us know that, because this is an open forum here. So if you want to type in your comments to Transformation Talk Radio, we'll see them and we can communicate with you. If you want to call us and you're local here, I don't know how the phone lines work in Scotland, or if it even gets over here, but if it works, you can call 1-800-930-2819 and we'll talk to you as well. But here's the deal. Okay? We are here to support you. Claire and I both are here to support you. So whatever that looks like for you right now, just open up, take a risk. Let us know who you are. Let us give to you, because this is your time. Okay? So thank you, my dear, for answering that very loaded question about being a spiritual being, having a human experience, and your past. So what was the turning point of, okay, you've got all this pain in your body. You started looking at, did you start looking at the healthcare system, or did you start looking at your spiritual life and your emotional body in order to get to the place of acceptance? Was there a linear avenue with that?
Well, sorry, can you say that again? I'm not sure I entirely understand what you're meaning. Do you mean how did I heal, basically?
Yes. Or... So are you in a place today where you're out of pain?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Well, I mean, one of the most obvious things when we think about, oh, my body is sore. Well, once I'd had some support from the doctors, but the doctors were sort of suggesting that this was a progressive condition and that it would just sort of get worse as I got older. And there was definitely quite a long time that I spent having a sort of pity party around that and sort of feeling sorry for myself. But eventually I thought, okay, well, if this is my life, I have to make the most of it, the best of it. let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. And at that point, I started to experiment with what I was eating, and coming across different raw food circles and people eating a fruitarian diet and 30 bananas a day and things like that. So I started to experiment with the sort of physical side of things, but eating such a clean diet, nature, high vibrational, not cooked raw food, that sort of led me onto the spiritual path, because there's not really, there's nowhere to hide when, because food is a big comforter for me. Food's a big number, isn't it? So there's nowhere to hide there. So what would happen, because I was eating just a lot of fruit mainly, and I could feel more, I could feel, as someone who'd always used things like alcohol and food to sort of numb my emotions. I'm a very passionate, emotional, big-hearted person, a sensitive person, and I feel things very deeply. So alcohol and food were things that I would use to sort of numb that. And when I cleared those things out, I realized just how much pain was inside, not just the physical stuff, but the emotional. And I was able to process through healing, through crying, through breathing, through just spending time on my own and just allowing myself to feel. We're supposed to feel our emotions, and when we feel our emotions, we heal our emotions. And it's this sort of just honoring of what is, acknowledging things like that. And that's sort of what led me to reach out to my dad. I didn't speak to my dad for 22 years. I'd experienced some sort of rejection, and so I distanced myself from him. And we ended up, I reached out, and now we have a lovely relationship. We send text messages to each other saying I love you every day. And I really wouldn't have thought that possible. I would have thought that that relationship was over and that we wouldn't have ever reconciled. So that's definitely something that, when I spent a lot of time on my own, just eating simply, sleeping in the quiet, then that's when things come up. What about the relationship with your dad? What about that? Then when we're still and quiet, we can start to connect with those parts of ourselves rather than being in denial. I mean, I would have always said, I don't need my dad in my life. I had other male role models. We tell ourselves these things. It's not a big deal to try and minimize the impact of the pain and the trauma and what's sort of missing. So the relationship with my dad has been a huge part of my life, as I'm sure people listening at home can relate. The parental relationship, the things that the relationship there and what happens as a child really can stay with us for the rest of our life. And sometimes we can feel hurt or we can feel bitter about that. And I certainly did for a long time. But then we can start to experience, we can start to see things from the other person's point of view, and we can start to have compassion and understanding for why the person may have behaved that way, and we can then start to open the heart and build bridges and come from a place of love and forgiveness and acceptance and all these things. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do, but these things are possible. I think one of the things that I like to, so people are listening at home, don't give up. Stay hopeful. It's so important that we stay hopeful, that there's something that you can do about your situation, that even small steps forward are still steps forwards. And life can feel really overwhelming sometimes. But if we can take one step forward in the direction that we want to go in, if we can listen to ourselves and really value what we're hearing inside, then we can certainly move forward, and we can experience that sort of radical change that maybe seemed like a mountain, seemed impossible, but just with time, with patience, with steady steps in the right direction. To the people listening at home, you know where you want to go. You do know where you want to go.
Yeah. So the way that even though there's a lot of chatter going on in your head, That's a human condition. Okay. It's a human condition to have a lot of chatter going on constantly. Okay. And the way through that, again, is back to the breath. Okay. As this chatter is going on, simply allow it. Don't say stop, because then when you say stop, you know what's going to happen is it's going to get louder. That's usually what happens. Okay. So when you're chattering and it's constant, just focus back in with your breath. Because when you focus in on your breath and you feel it, like, try this for a minute. Just close your eyes and just bring your concentration to the in and out of your breathing. Okay. Feel it coming in and then going out. And as you bring your attention to that action of your breathing, the noise doesn't have much of a chance to be constant. Okay. It may still be going on, but notice how when you take your attention away from your breath, there it is again, yakking at you. Okay. So that, I think, is a big key for a lot of you that are listening, that want a different experience. Okay. We just gave you a tool for having a different experience. What's another tool that you use, Claire, to stop the constant chatter or the judgment that is continual, that can be continual with the way that we experience life? What's another tool that you can give those that are listening?
Well, remember that voice is trying to help you. That voice is trying to help you from its perspective. So this is a sort of fear-based way of trying to help. Stop, don't do that thing, don't move forward, stay as you are. This is sort of like better the devil you know. Sometimes that voice will try and stop you from moving forward or stop you from changing. Let's just stay in our comfort zone. Let's stay where we know. And there's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it says, "I stayed in hell because I knew all the names of the streets there." So this is like, sometimes we stay in places and situations or thought patterns because it feels comfortable. So if we can see that voice as trying to help us, then we can start to have this sort of compassion. It's like, that voice is scared. That part of me is scared. Understanding that there's different parts of ourselves, and this is about the relationship, and this is about building this community within us. You know, there's a part of us that is trying to keep us safe, that's trying to protect us, and that can be, you know, a bit fearful. There's another part of us that wants to expand and open up and experience more and move forward and grow and go to the places that are unknown. So we need to build a relationship within. This is, you know, acknowledge these different parts of ourselves. We can sometimes name them, you know. It's something that I sometimes do with clients, is identify what would that, what's the name of that voice, almost like personalize it. And you know, sometimes through the work that I do with clients, we might name it, or we might dress it up, or we might speak to it, or it's about building a relationship with them. I mean, this is really about integration. Integration of the different parts of ourselves, the masculine, the feminine. As you said earlier, I work a lot with tarot, so this is about the different aspects, the different elements of fire, water, air, and earth, bringing in these different parts of ourselves in order that we experience integration, wholeness, completeness. And I think this is what helps us to feel empowered when we have our feet on the ground, when we have our heart open to give and receive love, you know, when we have the mind clear, these aspects, you know, this is about this wholeness, when the masculine and the feminine is balanced together, because those both play a very important part. So you're talking about breath. I would say grounding, having your feet on the ground, when the mind is running away at 100 miles an hour, sometimes we want to get back to the physical space. So touch something, touch a soft cushion and stroke it. Feel what that feels like. Stand with your feet on the ground and feel that connection with, Mother Earth, holding that steadiness, that safety. Human beings, we want to feel safe and we want to feel loved. And when we don't experience safety and love in childhood, that can stay with us. So anything that we can do to take care of ourselves, what can I do to feel more safe right now?
I love that.
What can I do to what can I do to feel more love? And if love is a difficult word, then what can I do to accept myself? What can I do? Acceptance and appreciation. Acceptance and appreciation. Those are other words that we can use if love feels like too big a stretch. How can I appreciate myself? How can I appreciate my life? How can I appreciate the people that are around me? Because often when we have experienced that pain and trauma, we sometimes push people away. We sometimes push people away and then blame them that it's them that's rejecting us, but sometimes it's us that's pushing people away. So covered a few things there, but definitely grounding, safety, grounding, and also acceptance and appreciation and love.
That is so good. That's awesome. So what came through for me as you were talking, I was reminded, oh yes, we both are card readers. You go you go in the tarot system. I actually go in the intuitive system. So I don't even know the tarot system. But the thing that came up was sometimes we don't necessarily know where to start, but I'm a big proponent of get support wherever it is because it's everywhere around you. Okay.
Yeah.
And since we are both card readers, I think you connecting in with the collective and picking a card or two for the collective right now would be really appropriate. Are you willing to do that?
Of course. I've got
Okay,
them.
great.
I've got them. Well, before I came on here, I pulled a card for myself. Okay.
Great.
So I just want to share that it was the King of Wands, which is links to the sign of Aries, which I am. So it's very much about fire and passion and leadership. So that's a wee card for me, and that was just a reminder for me just to show up as I am. Show up. I don't have to be anything that I'm not, because I am in touch with my masculine energy as well. And sometimes in divine feminine circles, I sometimes feel like I need to hide that a little bit because it's not always the best fit. So I'm just talking as I'm shuffling here because I'm waiting for something to be drawn for the collective, and here we have it. Wonderful. So we've got not one but two cards. We have two cards. So if it's okay to share those, Pam.
Yes.
Bright, and I love your name, Bright. So we've got more. We've got more fire. So this is fire. The element of fire is all about helping us to feel warm, to illuminate. This is what fire brings, and balanced fire helps us to feel warm. It helps us to see clearly. And of course, there's always a higher and a lower manifestation. So the lower manifestation is that fire can burn and fire can be sort of dangerous. So let's talk about this particular card. Now, isn't it wonderful? After talking about the King of Wands, that we now have the Queen of Wands. So the card that I've pulled is the Queen of Wands. And I was talking about the importance of balance, of divine masculine and divine feminine. And here it is. So this is a card for you if you're listening. This is a card for you. This is a card about being steady. It's a card about being loyal, and loyal to your soul purpose. Loyal to your soul purpose. Loyal to the work that you're here to do. Now, Queen Penelope was a leader, and she was self-sufficient. So even though she was a queen and there was a king, King Odysseus for her, the gorgeous deck that I use is the Mythic Tarot deck by Juliet Sharma Burke and Liz Green. So we have not just the sort of usual tarot, but we have all the Greek myths in here, here as well. And Queen Penelope sits on her throne with a fire wand in her hand and also a lioness by her side. So this speaks of community. This speaks of divine service to the people that she is responsible to. So this is about us acknowledging that we are leaders. It really feels that it is about that showing up as being empowered, holding a light in the world. This is the card, of soul purpose, of soul purpose and divine feminine soul purpose. Very much focused. The King of Wands could be quite focused on himself a little bit. The Queen of Wands was very much focused on the kingdom and the subjects on all of those things. Quickly, I want to share this other card, because what have we been talking about? I mean, both these themes we've been talking about a lot tonight. This second card is the Page of Cups, and this is the card of self-love. This is the card of healing. This is the card after we've maybe experienced some sort of heartache, some sort of loss, some sort of grieving process where we're not quite sure who we are anymore. And this card is asking for us to reflect. We have a tiny little boy on his hands and knees looking down into the water. The water is a mirror. So he's able to see himself clearly. This is about the relationship with self, just as we would try and get to know another person, a new friend, a new lover, potentially. We would take time to get to know them, and we can do this with ourselves. So this to me feels like the Page of Cups is looking into himself in order to find his purpose. And the Queen of Wands is asking that we stay resolute, even if things don't quite make sense just now, even if we're not quite sure where we're going. Continue to take care of yourself, continue to look after your heart, and continue to stay true to you, stay true to your purpose, and to be in service. So this is like the Page of Cups is like the sort of behind the scenes stuff, and the Queen of Wands is going out into the world and really doing your thing. I mean, I'm overjoyed that these are the cards that have come out, because I just think they're so beautiful and they're so powerful, and they seem very relevant to the conversations that we've had. Pam, what do you think?
I love it. I love it. So, as I said, I do not know the tarot system. I never learned it. However, what comes up for me as you're talking is the Queen is our divine feminine.
Yep.
As we know, as many of us know, we are, as a culture, as a society on planet Earth, we are bringing fully in the divine feminine now. Okay. Doesn't mean that she's not been here before. It just means that as a dominant male energy on the planet, we're shifting now to a dominant divine feminine. Okay. And that actually brings the marriage of the two, the divine feminine and the divine masculine together. And that's our goal.
Yep.
Is to bring those energies together. And it's very interesting that as I speak that, as a collective on this planet, there are many young people, and the older people have already been through this, but a lot of the young people are now integrating this into this LGBTQ world. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning about that. And what I'm finding with it is it's fascinating, because we're getting different pronouns and we're getting different ways of identifying sex and gender. And there's this whole melding of all of this massive information at once. And I believe it's perfect, because we are so committed to learning what it's like to be a spiritual being, connecting to our hearts and our souls with the divine, and being human. Like, what's it all about? How do I bring it all together? Right? And here we are having this wonderful conversation about it. And we have the cups, the Page of Cups. So my understanding of the page, in that hierarchy of or not hierarchy, but this this container, if you will, of the king and the queen. And then we have a princess and a prince, if they're there. And we have a page who is like the scribe, writing the book of, I'm just making this up, I don't know if this is true, but what I get is he's like the scribe who's writing down the information for the kingdom, right? I don't even, as I said, I'm just kind of bringing it through whatever it looks like. But it's the cups. So are we filling our cup with really great information, or is our cup already so full that we can't get anything new in there because it's all filled up? So allow yourself to empty your cup of anything that's old and done and allow the old contents and the debris of what doesn't work anymore to release itself. Pour it out, get rid of it, do whatever you need to let yourself be filled up again with more of the new cup, the new energy, the new water. Water is about fluidity and about emotion. Yep. So really allow yourself to be in that emotion. So this has been very rich and wonderful. And we do still have a few minutes left, folks. If you want to talk to us, you can call us, or you can text in a question or a comment or a need, and we will share with you what we can. So what are you gleaning from all of this yummy conversation, and what else wants to be anchored for these beautiful people who want to be empowered today? Miss Clare.
Well, just want to say is remember for the imagery for the time, just to take a step back before we move forward slightly, is that the cup is the vessel in which water is held, the way that the heart is the vessel for love and emotion. So I feel like conversations like this stimulate, they allow us to sort of question, they allow us to reflect when we take active participation in these things. You know, one of the very, very first things that I ever did actually, once I'd had this big shift and change, is I wanted to meet other people that were on a similar path, a similar journey. And I did go to a few different groups in Glasgow, but I didn't quite find what I was looking for. This is the importance of tribe and community. So I started my own group called Authentic Connections, that was really about people drop the mask and speak from the heart. Because even in certain spiritual circles, I sometimes find that people stick to a certain way of speaking or to say certain things. And I really wanted to create something that was a bit raw and more real. You're not alone. The thing I want to say people at home is you're not alone. If we're not speaking your language, somebody else will be. Somebody else will be. Or as I often say to people, if it doesn't exist and you've had an idea, then create it, you know?
Amen to that.
Because the Authentic Connections group, I kept saying, why is there not a group where people can, you know, really just drop the mask and speak from the heart? I don't necessarily want to do this, because I was finding groups that sort of fitted but not quite. And I kept thinking, why has nobody done this before? And then I just thought, well, you're a person, Clare. Somebody should do this, somebody should do that. And then you think, well, you've had the idea, you're a person, so just start it. So people listening at home, if the thing that you're looking for doesn't exist in the world, then create it. There will be other people. You know, we are all leaders. We're all able to do this. We create social change when we speak from the heart, when we open up and we say the things that are on the inside out loud. Other people will find, you know, other people shine your weirdo light in order that the other weirdos know where you are. And just let people know about what's happening in your head and your heart, because as human beings, we make so many assumptions. We make so many assumptions that other people won't get me, or other people don't like talking about these things. And what I've found is that's not true. You know, open your voice, do a lot of work in your throat chakra, open your voice, say the things that are on your mind, speak from the heart, and you will find that connection, because we are social creatures. And if anything that the last few years has taught us is that it's not good for us to be alone. Yes, we do need that time to be alone and quiet and reflect, but we also need community. We need both. We need a good balance. This is about the balance, masculine and feminine,
absolutely,
spiritual, physical, all those things.
So thank you so very much, Miss Clare. I can't wait to keep talking to you. Actually, those of you who are listening on Facebook, if you go to, I think it's Holistic Healers and Light Workers that I saw you. Yes,
that's right. That's right.
So that group, for any of you listening, is really, really rich. And Claire is on there all the time doing readings. So you can find her there. I go there sometimes, but Facebook has massive groups on there. So if you're not a part of one, get on one. You can also find Claire at, what's your website?
clarebennett.scot. So it's ClareBennett.SCOT.
Yes. Woo-hoo! So we got to go, guys. Love you very much.
Thank you.
And we are going to be back next week. And we have another glorious guest on here named Jacqueline, who has another wonderful way of speaking to you about her life in her own empowerment. So until next week, have a wonderful week. Your life is up to you. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright on Transformation Talk Radio. Tune in to learn more about living a fully empowered life. Remember that your life is up to you, and you can choose the spiritual path you are on. There is spiritual energy and wisdom in everything and everyone around you. Listen carefully for what the universe is trying to tell you in every moment. You are already being guided along your journey. Call upon your spirit guides anytime you need help with anything. Know that you are safe in every moment, even if it seems that you are not. For more information about Pam Bright, visit brightbutterflyenterprises.com or email theempowermeshow@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. We hope to see you next week.